I get it, there's nothing more annoying than scrolling through a glossy product page, seeing a sleek console that promises studio-quality audio and 4-camera switching, and then ending up with a box that feels more like a half-finished prototype than the workhorse you imagined. I've been there, and that hesitation is why I'm doing this deep dive. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Rode RODECaster RCV-S is trying to be the Swiss Army knife for anyone who wants to blend podcast-style audio with a simple video switching workflow. It's not a separate mixer, not a dedicated video switcher, but a single piece of hardware that says, "I'll handle both," so you can focus on the content. That promise is appealing because most creators end up juggling a USB audio interface, a separate video switcher, and a handful of cables that look like spaghetti. If you've ever tried to sync a separate audio board with a video deck in real time, you know the frustration. Let's start with what the box actually gives you. Inside you'll find the console itself, a compact unit that fits on a small desk, 2 Rode podcast mic packs, each with a dynamic mic, pop filter, and boom arm, and the necessary power supplies and cables. The console can take up to 4 1080p 60 video inputs. Think a DSLR, a camcorder, a webcam, or even a game capture card and feed them into a single HDMI output. On the audio side, Rode's Revolution preamps provide up to 75 dB of clean gain, which is more than enough for most spoken word applications and even for acoustic instruments if you're feeling adventurous. When I set it up for a typical YouTube interview, the workflow was surprisingly straightforward. I plugged my main camera into HDMI 1, a secondary cam into HDMI 2, and a laptop's webcam into HDMI 3. The 2 podcast mics went straight into the built-in XLR inputs, and I used the USB-C port to send the mixed audio-video feed straight into OBS on my laptop. The console's on-screen menu lets you label each source, toggle them with a single button press, and even add a simple lower third graphic that you can upload via a USB stick. For a creator who isn't a tech-savvy engineer, that level of integration cuts down on the "where does this cable go" moments dramatically. One of the strengths that really shows up in day-to-day use is the quality of the audio chain. The Revolution preamps have a reputation for low noise, and on the RODECaster RCV-S they live up to it. My test recordings of 2 hosts speaking at normal conversational levels came out clear, with no hiss or the kind of low-level rumble that sometimes sneaks in when you're using a generic audio interface. The built-in compressor and limiter are also handy. You can set a threshold and let the console smooth out peaks without having to reach for a plugin in post. That means less time fixing volume jumps after you've already uploaded the video. On the video side, the 4-camera support is a solid middle ground. If you're doing a sit-down interview, a quick cut to a brawl shot, or a live demo where you need to switch between a screen capture and a close-up of a product, you can do it all with a tap. The 1080p 60 output looks crisp on most platforms, and the latency is low enough that you can do live streaming without the delay feeling you sometimes get with software-only switchers. For creators who stream on Twitch or YouTube Live, the USB-C connection acts as a plug-and-play capture device, so you don't need a separate capture card. However, the console isn't a magic bullet for every scenario. First, the video resolution caps at 1080p. If you're planning to future-proof your content for 4K platforms or you have a client who explicitly asks for 4K delivery, this unit will force you to either upscale later, which isn't ideal, or invest in an additional switcher. Second, the 4 HDMI inputs are great for a small setup. But if you're looking at a multi-camera production with 6 or 8 angles, you'll quickly outgrow the ports. The console also lacks multi-track recording, it only outputs a single mixed audio track. For podcasters who want each host on its own track for post-production flexibility, you'd need an external recorder or a separate DAW workflow. Price is another factor to weigh. The RODECaster RCV-S, bundled with 2 podcast mic packs, lands in the mid-range of all-in-one solutions. For someone who would otherwise have to buy a separate audio interface, around $150, a basic video switcher, another $200, and a pair of decent mics, roughly $120 each, the bundle can feel like a better value. But if you already own a high-quality audio interface and just need a video switcher, you might end up paying for features you'll never use. So, who should walk away with this console? If you're a solo creator or a small team that does regular talks house-style videos, podcast plus video hybrid content, or live streams where you need to switch between a couple of cameras without juggling multiple devices, the RODECaster video